Hello and welcome to the Terror Express. Today we have someone that horror fans know from movies such as Piranha, The Howling, and both Gremlin films. She's also an Emmy Award winner for the best after-school special in 1974 called Runaways. Today we have Belinda Balaski. Hello, Belinda, and welcome to the Terror Express.
Thank you, Jason. It's nice to be here.
One of the first things I want to talk about, you have photographed such celebrities such as the Doobie Brothers, Cyndi Lauper, Neil Young, Johnny Depp, Alice Cooper, Queen Elizabeth, Prince Philip, to name just a few. Who's been your favorite and most memorable celebrity to photograph?
Oh my God. Everybody who's in front of me, I am so fascinated by people, and
Yeah.
Jackson Brown just came up for me really strong because, I love and adore him.
Yeah.
Somebody who I really always wanted to shoot and wasn't able to was Joe Cocker, but
Yeah.
I was really fortunate to, my very best friend was the sound engineer for Crosby, Stills and Nash. And in between working, which was a lot of time in between, I would, he would, he'd be either recording them or they'd be playing this gig or that gig. And he'd say, hey, they're playing up in Santa Barbara. Why don't you drive up with me? I don't want to drive up there by myself. Right. And so I would go and he would give me press passes and I was able to be, like in the box with Henry Diltz and people like that. And have this advantage of shooting. And I can't sit still at a concert. I'm just like one of these people that cannot. And so it was
adrenaline gets you.
Oh no, I have to be shooting. I mean, people say, how was the music? And I go, I have no idea. I was about my left eye,
And I totally understand what you mean because when I'm shooting, not on the entertainment industry, I don't do many concerts. But when I'm outside shooting in the winter, here in Michigan, we get very, very cold winters. But my camera makes me warmer than any coat can. So I know exactly what you mean by that.
Right. No, I totally hear that. Now I shot over 30 years of rock and roll, and I've put together a book that I'm trying to get published called Rock and the Causes, because most of the concerts were cause concerts because they were CSN and they did a lot of different causes, and usually people like Bonnie Raitt and Jackson Brown and James Taylor and Doobie Brothers, and they'd all be a part of that genre of concerts, cause concerts. And I was really fortunate to shoot the 5 nights in Madison Square Gardens called Muse back in '79. Everybody on the planet came, so I was able to, just really have a very diverse little archive of amazing, talented people.
When did your passion for photography begin? Was there
around the 1950 when I was like maybe 3 or 4 years old? My dad got me one of those Kodak cameras with the big flash on it, and you put that big square thing in it. And I wore this thing around my neck until I was at least 15. No, really. I'm in none of the family photos because I'm always taking the picture,
No, same here.
But you know what I mean?
The curse of loving the camera is you're always on the wrong side when it comes to family photos.
Oh, I know, but it was just I loved every second of it. I mean, I was just like I felt like a news reporter or something, I don't know. It's just like really, really fun to just be able to isolate a world, and framing up is really what it's all about, And
it's very cathartic and therapeutic as far as expression and creativity goes too. A lot of people don't realize how artistic creating a photograph can be.
Oh, really? It's true, but mostly you're just lucky because you're shooting, at a 30th of a second with your film pushed to 400 and hope to God they didn't, that it's anywhere close to being in focus, Now it's all digital, but when I was shooting, when I was shooting, we did not have that luxury.
No, you had to get lucky and just hope that was the shot. Back sharp and good to go. Now you mentioned rocking the causes. Did you say you're working on it or
I have a demo book. I mean, I have a demo book that I've I have not been able to show to anyone because all these
Mm,
publishers are like, here, not here in LA, they're like always someplace else, and
yeah, yeah,
so, but I'm trying to figure out how to get it out there and find the right person that would be really interested. I mean, it's an archive of such amazing people.
yeah, yeah.
You walk into most bookstores and you want to pick up a book about, musicians, say Bob Dylan, it's going to be a book about Bob Dylan. It's not going to have anybody else in it.
Right, right.
And this
Yeah.
is very different because it really does have everybody from our genre.
Yeah, there's definitely a niche, a place for this book, and I hope things come to fruition for you
Thank
very
you.
soon
Yeah,
with that, because I would
I just,
love to get my hands on a copy.
oh God, I decided maybe I should just go about trying to self-publish it and stop worrying
Hmm.
about trying to figure out the whole book world, and just get it
Yeah,
out.
love
The
it. Yeah.
book publishing world is like,
Oh, yeah.
a
It's got to
complete
be.
entity
Yes, yes, on its own.
unto itself. Yeah.
Now, we've touched a little bit on your photographer side. Let's talk a little bit on your writer side. I did hear that you wrote a play over 20 years ago that got rave reviews back then,
Yeah,
and
I
is
did.
recently
Yeah.
being reproduced in New York.
Well, there is a slight possibility now. There
Hmm.
was a possibility that was a lot stronger, but then COVID kind of was wiped that,
COVID, yeah,
kind of
the COVID era.
washed that under the bridge. But it's,
Oh,
you never know. It may resurrect itself in
yeah,
the
that would be nice. I would.
future.
That's also exciting. If you hear anything on that, and if they decide to get it back where it was pre-COVID, let me know. What was the name of the play?
It was called the T Files, and which stood for the Teen Files, because when I became a foster parent and my daughter was placed in my home, I didn't want
Oh,
to. I didn't want to work anymore. I didn't
yeah,
want to go on location. I really felt like she needed to be stabilized in school, and so I
yeah.
kind of quit acting, and so I opened up a school for kids called BB's
Nice.
Kids,
Baby's
and
kids. Yeah.
this is like my email. And so, and so I had a group of kids that grew up sort of with my daughter, that
Hmm.
they were all like 5, 6, 7, and then suddenly they were like 18, 19, 20, And I said, man, aren't you getting tired of doing scene work? Let's write something. And they're like, oh my God, are you kidding? And I'm like, sit down, and we sat in my circle and did, this some, just, talking. And out of that, I just created these improvs, and one thing led to another, and it turned into a really, really cohesive piece. That we did it twice, and then
Hmm.
I took it to, I had heard of this Corky Dominguez, who was at the Mark Taper Forum. But I had heard that he had done this amazing thing with these teen Latino kids, right? And I was like,
Hmm.
because this play is a little rough. And I was like, I'm just going to call this guy up and just say, hi. And I did. I just called and said, is Corky there? And he got on the phone. It was phenomenal. And
Yeah.
we talked and I told him about it. And he said, I want to come see it. And so he came to my class, this little classes room, and he watched my kids perform in the show. And he said, oh my God, is this a play looking for a director? And I'm
Oh,
like, are you a
wow.
director looking for a play? And so he
And
directed
the
the last
marriage
time.
happens.
Oh my God, it was so great. He was so amazing. He
Oh,
did such innovative things with it, like I don't know, you could choreograph fights between the guys. I would never have
yeah.
done this, I'm a girl. I would never would have thought of it. He just really brought in some really so a rhythm into the piece that I
Yeah.
uh being an actress, I did a lot for, be from where I stood, but I
Yeah.
really had never done all the put all those hats on that I was quickly changing every 5 seconds, from writing to producing, and now we're going to find a theater, and then we're going to, and somehow it all came together, and we got standing ovations almost every single night, and we had
That's
just
excellent.
an exceptional LA Times review, and it really should have gone farther. I really should have
Yeah. It
I should have furthered it myself, but I was so involved in my life and ended up back in the islands and doing other things. And, I really just recently put it out there to a couple of people, and both of them jumped on it. And it's very possible one of those two options are going to come to fruition.
Oh, good.
I just don't know which one, and I don't know where it will be. It might not be.
How did BB's kids fare through the pandemic? I know we're hopefully at the tail end of this pandemic. How is it
I
presently?
had retired it by then.
Okay.
Around 2:15, I think I closed our doors.
I also know that you paint. What's your style in painting? And do you have any artwork that's available for sale to the public?
Oh yeah, so I have a website and everything. It's all over the place. It's Belinda-Balaski.pixels.com is
Nice.
one
I'll put that.
website. And then my for sale website, where I have things that are for sale, my originals for sale, is different. I'll send them to you so you can put
Yeah, and
them.
I'll
might
put
need to
in
do it.
the absolutely, yeah, I'll definitely
Yeah.
put those in the
But
description box
I've
of
just
this.
created a thing on Instagram now, and I have a thing on Facebook, so you can see a lot of my paintings there. But when I was a child, I was like
Mhm.
3, maybe 4 years old, and my mom would put us to bed, and then she'd come back in a few hours later, make sure we were all tucked in. I'd never been in
Yes.
my bed, never, ever, ever. And I always remember, Belinda, where are you, Belinda? And I get littler and quieter, and hide wherever I was. I was always like hiding in the closet or hiding under the stairs, or I was behind the couch or whatever.
Mhm.
And she'd find me. She'd open the door that I was behind, and what are you doing? She'd say. I say, I'm drawing. I was like, I was always drawing. the only thing that stopped me from drawing was my acting,
You mentioned a few minutes ago that you have many hats, and we've discussed a lot of them. We've discussed the acting, the writing, the photographer, teacher, painter, mother. Out of all your hats, what's been your second favorite? 'Cause I'll know parenting is always going to be the best hat for everybody, but what's your second favorite hat that you've worn?
I love to do everything that I do. I mean, I love to write. I love to shoot. I love to, I love to activate my brain, and my
Yeah.
spirit. So
Sad.
I have a question for you now. So what draws
Yes.
you to the horror, to this genre of film?
My family, my earliest memories of being a child, I was 5 or 6, and I just remember spending time on the couch with my mother and my sister and being curled up between them and watching movies like the one that I remember most was the Hammer film that had Christopher Lee. And I just remember this fear that I had and my mother making me feel safe. And I think so now I relate the fear to safety and the comfort
Oh,
that
that's
a mother can
interesting.
give.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's and then my sister was there and we shared a lot of memories. My sister's since passed away, so I have a lot of horror
Oh,
memories with my sister, so that
oh,
I
wow.
really hold close. So I think it was the family time together that the emotions were high during the scary movie nights, higher than any other time. So it really
That's
affected
really
things.
interesting. I've heard
I
so
like to
many
be scared.
times when you like to be scared. That's so
I
funny.
do.
I hate it. My parents had put us to bed, and then they were watching it. We'd sneak down and peek and watch it, through the stairs.
Yeah. Oh
You know.
yes. Now she wouldn't let me watch raunchy like comedy. I remember for me to sneak down and watch something through like the slats of the staircase, it was usually the movies that had a lot of nudity in it.
Oh
But
yeah.
for some reason, if it was a horror movie, it kind of slipped by.
It was
But if it was a
okay.
comedy, I wasn't
Like,
allowed.
come on, son.
Yes, yes. You can't see this natural, beautiful thing called
Okay.
nudity, but we're gonna let you watch the violence and all the gore. That's
Right.
fine. You can see that,
Watch
but you
this guy
can't see
rip her
breasts. It's not
photo.
allowed. Which I have to say, that was a beautiful shot when Betsy was being taken under the water. How was that filmed? You being
Um,
dragged under the water there.
Yes, it is. It's a very effective shot. I
Mhm.
I have to admit, when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, nice."
Yeah.
It was shot with about 30 piranha tied to my body on fishing wire
Mhm.
and gaffer's tape. Okay, and I then carried all these fish into a pool, and and they tied this rope around my feet. Now I'm a really good swimmer, okay, and I'm
Yeah.
fearless. So that was the thing that worried my dad the most. I was fearless, still am. And I'm like, no, let's do it. I'm good, And they're like, oh my God, she's gonna do it. Yeah, I was gonna do it. So they tied this rope around my feet, and all of the crew guys kind of went into the pool, which was an Olympic-sized pool. And I got just like right under the surface of the water, and they just pulled me all the way back to the other side. It looks like I'm
Nice.
down, but I'm going.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love knowing information like that. Now when I watched it, the beautiful shot, which will remain beautiful, now I'll have knowledge with the beauty.
Completely
I love
different.
that.
People say,
Yeah,
wasn't it
yeah.
scary to work on Gremlins? And I'm like, scary? What do you mean? Well, the Gremlins, weren't they scary? Are you kidding? There's like 30 guys on their hands and knees blowing through straws. There's nothing scary about that to me.
Did you get to meet Corey Feldman at
Oh,
all
I've
when you were?
known Corey since he was 5,
Yeah,
In Gremlins, he was 5, but I've known him all those years, all this
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was fortunate to get to meet and work with him on a movie in New Mexico in 2019. That's why I was just. We have. I'm 1 degree from you, so I can say
Oh,
I'm 1 degree from Belinda Balaski right now. Let's get back to Gremlins for a minute. And your scene with Polly Holiday. How was it working with Polly Holiday?
oh my God. So, I'm supposed to shoot the next day. Okay, right.
Yeah,
So it's like
yeah.
8 o'clock at night, and I'm like, God, I'm pacing in my house, right? Finally, I said, okay, that's it. And I called Joe. I said, Joe. He's like, what? And I'm like, Joe, I don't have a script. He said, a what? I said, a script. He said, that's okay. Neither do I. He said, what? What are you talking about? he says, just come in and improv. I said, come in and improv with Polly Holiday? Why don't you just set me up with Carol Burnett? I mean, what are you talking about? You want
Yeah,
me,
there's no stress there.
you want me to just improv? I said, what's a gremlin? He said, I have
No,
no idea. I
your
said,
pacing probably just increased a bit.
he says, I have no idea what a gremlin is.
No,
I said, what's a gremlin? He goes, I don't know. I said, what? What is this movie? He said, don't worry about it. Just we'll see you in the morning. I'm like, oh my God. So I arrive in the morning with this wad of papers. I'm like, look, I kind of panicked. I wrote about 50 scenes out. Would you look them over? He looks at me, rolls his eyes, takes my papers off to his trailer. He comes back 5 minutes later. The first scene's perfect, he says. I said, oh, okay. He said, so take your lines to Polly and let her come up with hers. I don't even know her.
huh.
I don't even know her. He's like,
Might
she's
as well be
in
Carol
the
Burnett
trailer
again.
right there. Right. I'm like, oh my God, I just love her so much. And I was like,
Yeah,
okay, she's not Alice, she's Polly Holiday. She's an actress just like me, and a
yeah,
person, human being,
yeah.
and I can do this thing, right? Knock, 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 hoping she didn't hear me. Come in, she says. And I came in and I threw some of those lines at her, and she turned around, she looked at me, she goes, and now you know what to ask Salmon for Christmas, don't you? I was like, oh, yes, nice to meet you too,
So
dear.
she wasn't
Oh,
even Polly. Now she's Miss Deagle.
oh, she was like, came right up out of her mouth. I mean, she was
Uh,
great. She was so great.
oh, I love
I
hearing that.
laughed so hard. I was really fun. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I
everyone
like to.
watches it every Christmas, it's crazy.
Oh, it's a great Christmas movie. I mean, from the beginning song to Phoebe Cates's monologue about Santa Claus.
Phoebe
No,
got it.
what a
What a
dark
sweetheart.
monologue. Yeah.
Her monologue is just the best thing ever, isn't it?
So the first question that I have for you in the Express is, when's the first time in your life you recall being afraid?
I think it was on that mountain. I was behind my sister. We were on our hands and knees going up this mountain that was covered in snow.
Mm,
And she had her ski poles in her hand, and I had my ski poles in my hand. But we were on our hands and knees, kind of crawling up, and I was about
yeah.
5.
Mm.
And she
5 was an important year for you.
It was. It was a
Yeah.
big year. It
Yeah, it was a big
really
year for you. I'm
was.
sorry. Go
It
ahead. You were on your.
was so right
Yeah.
on. And her hand slipped and that ski pole went right in my right eye.
Oh,
And I was fine. I mean, I really was like,
yeah.
oh, whoops, and it was kind of like, she turned around and saw me and the horror on her face was like, what's wrong? Because I really didn't realize what was happening yet until I looked down and I saw this blood all over the snow. And my dad,
Oh,
suddenly there was my dad, and he just picked me up and scooped me up and not remember anything after that.
tell us about a experience you've had with the paranormal.
I have had experiences that I can't, I can't do anything except embrace,
Yeah, yeah,
like at the time of my father's accident, I didn't know, of course, I was in a completely different location, but my body physically went down at the exact same moment that his body went down. And
mm,
I literally was paralyzed in the same way that he was paralyzed. Um, but I didn't know he was paralyzed and I didn't know he had been in an accident. It's like my body went there. My body was so connected to
yeah.
him.
Wow.
That I
Yeah.
had, I thought someone had given me a drug. I was completely misinterpreting what was happening.
Wow.
Um, I had no idea I just really didn't, never occurred to me that something could ever happen to my father,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was, that was the most psychic moment that I've had. And I've had so many of them.
Yes.
That I tend to believe in them and give credence to them more than normal life.
Couple quick questions here for you. Do you sleep with your feet covered or uncovered?
Oh, wow. Covered, absolutely covered. I'm always freezing.
I asked that because I always have to have my feet covered because I always get that feeling something under my bed's gonna grab me if they're
Oh
not.
no, I
So
can't
it kind
have
of
like
ties in.
any limbs hanging over the bed.
No,
No.
I can't either because there is something under your bed that's going to grab you and pull you under if you do.
Oh my God,
That's
for
just
sure. Absolutely. I
that.
mean, that is to me there's a huge, ever since I was little, like nothing could be dangling over the edge of the bed.
No, no,
So, for
nope.
sure.
So I would imagine your closet doors probably closed all the way too because that thing under your bed has a friend and it lives in your closet.
Don't even say that. I'll never go in the closet again. Oh, that's so funny.
Would you rather sleep in a haunted house or spend the night in a cemetery?
Haunted house.
What will be your legacy?
Oh, God only knows. I have no idea. Probably my daughter. She's such an amazing person, and I have been so blessed to be able to raise her. And
Mm,
I don't know. I mean, everything else is just things, Do you
yeah,
know?
yeah, I
Um,
do, and I think that's always my favorite answer when somebody who has a kid says their kid will be their legacy. That warms me because I'm the same. My daughter, my soon to be I have my first grandson on the way. He'll be here in the spring. So
oh,
those
that's
are
my
my
dream. I want
oh yeah,
grandchildren.
yeah. So no grandkids yet?
No.
There's no talk of grandkids maybe in
Oh
the
yeah,
future?
lots of talk.
Lots of
We have,
talk.
yeah.
Lots of talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope one day I'll be visiting your Facebook and I'll see the announcement. I'll be
Oh,
very happy
wouldn't
for
that be
you.
awesome? Okay, that
Yes.
sounds good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I thank you so much for being here on the Terror Express. I have had such a wonderful time chatting with you and getting to know you some more and learning some behind the scenes information from the Howling and Piranha and the Gremlins. It's been great fun.
It's been really fun and talking to you. I
Yes,
really
thank you.
enjoyed it. And yes, if you would like to do it again, let me know.
I will
Uh,
absolutely do that.